right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. Got Tyler Parker coming up on the show in just a few minutes. Tyler just had his novel come out. We discuss a little about his book. We talk about the Team USA roster for FIBA. We discuss the Nuggets and the title parade. And, of course, we just meander and talk about a ton of different stuff. We do not talk about Tyler's breakfast, a horrible omission by me. And you should know Tyler was pretty concerned about the omission. And he wants you guys to know that his breakfast today was popcorn. He had popcorn for breakfast. He took his kids to see The Little Mermaid, which he was not a fan of, but got popcorn for breakfast at The Little Mermaid. So now we cover that. Before we get to Tyler, there are a couple bits of NBA news that Tyler and I don't talk about, and I think they're worth mentioning. One is the Bradley Beal trade situation, which suddenly seems to be heating up as the Wizards realize they need to move the guy. They aren't going anywhere with him. It's an intriguing situation because Beal is really good, but hasn't exactly stayed healthy in recent seasons. And, of course, he has a massive salary. And the new CBA seems to really be cracking down on team spending. So whichever team gets him needs to have a plan to cut costs. Miami and Milwaukee are rumored to be interested in him. The Miami match makes a ton of sense since they can trade out Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, those big contracts, and bring him in. The Bucks salary matching seems much stranger. I don't know what they would do, like a sign and trade with Chris Middleton, or like why would they trade Drew Holiday for Bradley Beal? I don't know. I also think maybe the Clippers and Steve Ballmer might check it out since Ballmer doesn't care about money. That might be a match, but that's going to be an interesting story to watch. The other increased rumor that people are talking about is just the Pelicans trying to get up in the draft to take Scoot Henderson. Whether they trade Brandon Ingram or Zion to do so is an interesting proposition, but the Pelicans actually have a ton of draft picks they could trade. So if Charlotte or Portland aren't that enamored with drafting Scoot, they could possibly get a haul of draft picks from New Orleans to move down. They might also get a Brandon Ingram or a Zion Williamson. So it's a very, very interesting story. It's going to be fun to monitor along with all of the other movements and rumors that will occur in the next week as we head into the NBA draft. There could be a massive number of trades this year, it feels like. I can't wait. Anyways, next week, next Thursday night for the draft lottery, I will be in our playback room hanging out with several special guests. We'll be at playback.tv/fastbreakbreakfast. You can experience all of the draft and the breaking news that night together at playback.tv/fastbreakbreakfast. And finally, before we get to Tyler, a reminder to download the all-new Grind City Media mobile app. Experience new ways to experience your favorite Grizzlies content, from shows and series to news and entertainment. It is available in both the Apple and Google Play stores. All right, now let's talk with Tyler Parker. I'm joined right now by Tyler Parker, American novelist, whose book, A Little Blood and Dancing, came out on Tuesday. It was perfectly timed, Tyler, to come out the day after the NBA Finals concluded, so we would all have something to do with the NBA season being over. Welcome to the show, of course, Tyler. And who gets the credit for the serendipitous timing of the book's release?
I mean, I already texted him a big thank you. You know, I said, look, Big Yoke, Nicola,
yeah,
Big Honey, my friend, thank you so much for taking care of business, and, you know, clearing the decks, NBA wise, for me and my, potential readers. So thank you so much. I've kind of figured it was going to be Nuggets in 5, but whenever I like for the Ringer, we had to do like one of those kind of like, pre-finals kind of entrance survey, what do you think? X factors, blah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And my pick was Nuggets in 5, along with a lot of other people. But I hadn't even been smart enough to like do the math that would be good.
You hadn't checked the calendar. You hadn't checked the final schedule.
I had no idea. I just knew I had checked. Well, what it was I had checked it, but it's like, I'm worried about that. Like my other job, right, is that. And so I need to be paying attention to that for work. And so I'm thinking like, man, this is going to be a really busy week for me, or at least a really busy couple days, even if the Nuggets kind of handle business. Like, I remember thinking like, oh, okay, so the closeouts the night before the book comes out, and then sort of but I was just thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, if they win, then some people might be looking for something to do. You know what I mean? So
hopefully that'll be it'll be a perfect sequence of events. It's like one of those, this guy would have never been elected if there wasn't a rainstorm in California that day and there was low incumbent voter turnout because of the rainstorm. So maybe it's a perfect sequence of events, and it helps the book out. I was looking forward to read it. And honestly, the reason I have you on right now, Tyler, is I pre-ordered the book. Yeah. It hasn't arrived yet. So I thought I would take my complaint directly to the author.
And that's what you should. I mean, it sounds like you know exactly how these things work, and that's where your complaint should go, is directly.
Yeah, there was a frequently asked questions on my order email, and I'm like, listen, why don't I just hit up the author?
Well, no, I saw when I gathered up, all the copies to take to the mailbox a couple mornings ago to get them all out. I saw yours in there, and I was like, you know what, fuck Keith. He doesn't get he'll get his when I decide he gets his. So dude. No, hopefully this goes well, and I see an uptick in orders, then yeah, for sure yours will be on the way, no all problem.
Right. I didn't know, like, do I need to pay more?
I'm very sorry. Somebody else hit me up and said, like, they were like, hey, mine got delayed, but I'm really excited. And I was like, it did make me like, not at all mad at them, but I was like, hey, well, who'd you order it from? I mean, what's going on over there?
Well, I mean, how am I supposed to do my post for clout without the actual physical copy of the book?
No, I appreciate you holding off on the clout post before you get the physical copy.
I did it. I did it with my Poku photo. I had to do my clout post, man.
Your Poku post was fantastic. And it's one of my favorite images. He looks so sick in that.
He looks ill.
He looks like he's going through something whenever in that picture, the way that you have edited that.
Well, I mean, frankly, it's cadaver-esque.
Yeah. Like, what did you do? Did you take the white and did you?
No, I did not. That's just that's just his general, I'm an NBA player.
That's not his regular color.
Headshot. No, that is his coloring.
There was nothing done.
Even the blue background wasn't me. That was the Thunder, I think. Well, no, I just found a Poku photo and I just slapped on your title art and it looked right. I realized the one thing I should have done, and I'm not sure I'm capable enough in like photo manipulation. I should have done the thing where like you scratch out his eyes. Like like a crazy killer scratches out the eyes of somebody on a Polaroid.
I mean, you effectively did do that by putting the words, and you also the way that you did the A, you can see just a little bit of the pupil below.
Yeah, it looks I don't know. I hope all of our listeners go to my, I don't know, Instagram or Twitter to hopefully see this thing. But yeah, it's a really disturbing photo of Pokashevsky's face.
I think it's because of some of this, some of the pavement that you've got there, and then that I can't see is, what it is? It's that it looks like it's where you put all the kind of pavement stuff. It looks like it's scabs.
Yeah, it looks messed. It looks real messed up.
It looks like he dove from a car, a moving vehicle.
Yeah, yeah, fell off a skateboard trying to go down a big hill. Yeah. On the interstate. No, we could talk a little more about the NBA. I will say one final thing about the book. I'm excited to read it.
We should talk about the NBA.
I used to be a big reader and I gave it up when I had kids. I'm like, listen, now all I do is watch basketball. No more reading. but I am going to read it. It'll be my first fiction book I've read in a long time.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm excited.
That means a lot.
And I think the greatest compliment, I heard this story. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that Cormac McCarthy got a copy of your novel, read it. He said it is finished and passed away. I think he's like, I'm good. Someone else has emerged. I can now die. I can die at peace.
I do think I killed him. I think that's true. I think it's so weird. Like, he's such a big deal to me. And yeah, it was a very weird thing to like have it, go the books out. And then, about like, I forget at what point during the day, but Blythe texted me and she was like, Cormac McCarthy died.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? It just like, yeah. I mean, I had seen he had done a couple interviews, like sort of in advance of the last sort of this couple of novels that he put out, which are like on my list. And I've only read like the excerpt that was in like the New York Times Magazine of one of them, which is unbelievable. But he did one interview in like 2017, and they only just now kind of put it out like a little earlier this year, and it's at the Santa Fe Institute. And he's like still looks like how you kind of picture him in your head. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like an old man, but there's still like a lot of he doesn't look, like frail or anything, right? And then he did another interview that I think they recorded like last year or something like that. And it was the first time I ever saw him where I was like, oh, this guy's getting up there. Like, this guy's like looking like a guy who's slowing down. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was like I think part of being a recluse is just sort of no one know, just sort of all of a sudden people are just like, oh no, man, oh no, he's probably gonna go soon,
Right.
But I didn't. Yeah, it was big bummer, but I mean, yeah, what a resume on that.
Not bad, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you read him and you're like, oh, you're doing something else. And like, you're operating on another stratosphere than the rest of most of us. Like, it just like, yeah, just he's writing in another language half the time.
Well, it's like when I hear a radio guy who's actually good. Where I'm like, oh, Max Kellerman, he's operating on a different plane than I am. He can actually string together words and has a nice voice. And like, he's not podcasting. He's doing something else.
Oh, well, I don't know. But sometimes you don't want the radio sounding thing. Sometimes
I don't know.
Sometimes if you listen to a podcast,
also,
with
like,
one of those radio guys,
I like my show just fine. And then I hear like Jaron Jackson Jr. and Paul George exchanging stories. And I'm like, oh, that's better than what I'm doing. Like, they have an openness and an insiderness, and also they're telling funny stories. And I'm like, I can't do that.
I mean, those shows when they're at their best are phenomenal. I agree with you, though. I do think that sometimes it can get a little one note, and you wind up getting some of that, like, man, we're just being real right now, aren't we? Man, we're just really telling it like it is. And that's what I like about this, is this format gives you an opportunity for us to just cut out the middleman in the media, and we just get to tell it like it is. And another thing I like about it is that we just get to be honest here, and we get to really be real, because we're not really, it's not the media. It's not fake. Like, we're telling it like it is. They just sort of say this, you know what I mean?
They do. Also,
congratulations.
I will say we also get some beauties like Patrick Beverly and Carl Anthony Towns' podcast.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
A great point by you.
Brilliant.
And a timely one.
Brilliant work. Carl Anthony Towns implying winning in the play-in, because they accomplished that in only 4 months of being together. More impressive than the Nuggets winning a title, because they had 4 years to get it together to win a title. Never stopping.
Yeah, it's
Carl Anthony Towns.
I mean, that's beyond galaxy brain, to get to get there. I don't know what the next level is. I don't know what the meme is, beyond Vince McMahon, like with laser eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the next level. The next level is us winning in the play-in. I mean,
Yeah.
That poor guy. I mean, he's like, that guy's gone through so much. And so you don't even want to be like at all. Like I always like hesitate to even like criticize the guy just because of all the stuff he dealt with, like losing,
all
so
the
much
family
family during
members
COVID and stuff like that. Like you dealing with injuries, all that sort of stuff, right? And it's just like, but every time the guy opens his mouth or something, you're just like, dude, you got to talk less. You got to say less.
We have a lot of Timberwolves fans like who are in our Patreon only Slack, and they're I love their lives are just getting like kicked in the groin. It's just like everything, every news cycle. It's like, what in the world? But we can talk.
McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are exciting though, and
they're great. Jaden McDaniel, Anthony Edwards going to be part of this new FIBA team. Excited about the FIBA squad.
Yes,
bunch of young bucks. Little light on rebounding. A little nervous.
It is a little. Who are the bigs? I need to go. I need to go.
Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler and Bobby Portis.
That's it.
I think that's it. Here's my hot take. I think, like, my initial thought, I see Bobby Portis on this FIBA team that's going to play in Indonesia at like the end of August for this FIBA World Championship. I'm like, Bobby Portis, what in the world? But then I stop and think, I think FIBA Bobby is going to be Olympic Melo. I think FIBA Bobby is going to be unstoppable.
I think there are better players than Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
When Bobby Portis is out there, am I going to be excited? Absolutely.
100%.
There is something about him where you're like, what are you going to do? You might do something. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like there's like, there's a mischievous quality to Bobby Portis, and just like likes to mix it up. He does have that thing where it doesn't quite get to the, like, all right, I'm Jay Crowder and I'm going to take over right now. He doesn't get to that level. So you feel like you can trust him a little bit more, maybe, you know what I mean? But there is still some of that, like, no, it's the fourth quarter of a big game and I've got the ball, like, we're in a good spot. I'm putting this up. You know what I mean? Like there is still some of that, like, I got this. There's not too much of it, but there is some of that, like, oh man, Bobby Portis was really going for it. You know,
I honestly think, looking at the roster, I guess I should pull up the roster. It's kind of weird. It's like Halliburton and Jalen Brunson and like Mikal Bridges is there and Cam Johnson just said he's going to be there. But I honestly feel, looking at the roster, I'm like, I think Bobby's my closing four. I think I'm gonna close with Bobby and Jaren. I think I am nervous about the FIBA officials and Jaren and Austin Reeves. I feel like Austin's thing is not going to fly. But Jaren is probably going to foul out so quickly. I don't know.
Jaren will either, I could see it going one of two ways. I could see him fouling out super quickly. How many fouls do they get to play with there? Is it still 6? Oh, it's less. That does worry me. I think that it'll probably be that thing where some games he does like pick up 2 quick ones or something, and then picks up 2, like sits down the rest of the first half, and then like picks up a quick one again at the beginning of the third, and then it gets all like he just never gets in a rhythm. But I could also see Jalen in that particular environment. Like you look up in the third quarter and he's like has 6 blocks and he's grabbed all of them off of the rim. You know what I mean?
Oh man, if him and Walker can get the timing of the cleaning, like knocking it off the rim, which is legal, that could be amazing.
He feels like the type of guy that could flourish in that sort of thing. And also just like, I don't know. I mean, he's not going to run into anybody who can out athlete him. You know what I mean? Like like he's a freak, you know, but no, I didn't know it went down to 5. That does worry me. Austin Reeves, like he just sort of plays like a European guard already though. Like it's not like those guys aren't, you know, flailing around and tossing their head back a little bit when they come off. It's true,
but based on my watching Eurobasket, they do not reward with shooting fouls by doing that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it's gonna work. Also, Brandon Ingram's on the team, so that's a good fit. And Anthony Edwards, maybe this will be his superstar breakout.
Well, you know what I think then, even though I like Portis, I think that you're going to get a lot of Ingram at the 4 and JJJ at the 5. It's not it's not the sexiest roster in the world, but the combo of dudes is exciting to me. Like I like Brunson, Edwards, and Halliburton.
Yeah, but it's
if you play them together, that's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun, but this is the type of thing where I know I would get criticized for podcaster brain. These are all podcaster dudes. These are all like fun, like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and
this is a
Halliburton. But like when the calls aren't going your way, when the Spanish national team, who's been practicing together since they were 6, starts hitting all the little back cuts and everything, and when you realize, hey, if I don't swish this guy's going to knock it off the rim.
Sure.
Who's the guy you can get a bucket? And this is where, for me, 2 names. It's Bobby Portis and Jalen Brunson. And I don't know if that's going to be enough, but
see, I don't think I as much as I like Portis, I don't think Portis is a guy who he's not the first guy I think of. Like Brunson, I agree with you just because
I'm saying just for this competition, I think for whatever reason, he's gonna be a bruiser down in the paint.
Brandon Ingram is a motherfucker in to hit the beat button.
Yeah.
That guy, when he's healthy, he can close games. I wouldn't be surprised to see them give him the ball quite a bit and have Edwards, Halliburton, Brunson out there kind of around him and running pick and rolls with Jackson, and then having Jackson, dive or pop or whatever, right? There's some. If I just don't know how healthy he is. He must be healthy if he's. I mean, he was healthy enough at the end of the year.
Healthy
right?
at the end of the year, yeah. He missed a ton of games.
Yeah, so who do you think's going to not play? You think it's Reeves? Is Reeves the guy that? Oh yeah,
Austin Reeves is not playing.
He's not going to play, right? It's going to be. And Kessler's Kessler's good. I don't Reeves. I
think Kessler has to play because they need a center. I think.
Yeah. Well, and Kessler's
Cam Johnson's not going to play, even though I love him.
I don't know. He might play. He can shoot. I mean, if you're in terms of the forwards on this team,
he's got size and he can shoot.
It'll be. I wonder who the last. Because they're not at the 12.
Oh, they got 2 more. They got 2 more to add, and I don't know who. I feel like they need a legit shooting guard, but we've probably we might have gone long enough on FIBA. Are you watching this Nuggets parade that's going on right now?
I'm not. Is the parade happening now?
Or maybe it was happening 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
Jokic is up on on a fire truck.
Fantastic. Did he have his shirt off?
No, he's wearing a shirt, which I think is good. I worry about sun exposure. Just being out on the higher altitude. Is there less ozone over Denver? I'm not sure. It seems rough.
You're a nice guy for being worried about the sun exposure.
KCP,
I gotta be honest with you.
Shirtless.
That's what I will see. I would almost love to see a team just institute a shirtless policy for a parade. You pick the right climate, but no, I'm so excited for the Nuggets and so happy for them that they won. So happy for Jokic and Murray and the journeyman kind of dudes like Bruce Brown who just are going to get.
He's just beginning his journeyman status.
But you're exactly right. I guess he's only been 2 spaces. But the guys who it wasn't a given that he was going to catch on in the league, right? And right. He said himself the Nuggets were the only team that really went after him, and to do what he did on throughout kind of especially the last couple rounds of the playoffs, right? Some great games against the Lakers, and then just a total pest. I get so happy for dudes like that, especially he's going to get paid and all that stuff is exciting, but just he's just clearly a winning player. You know what I mean?
He was, wasn't he high on did he crack your league pass rankings?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bruce Brown was on your, all right.
Once the playoffs hit, he got on there just because he's just one of those dudes. the ball finds energy and he's just always around it. You know what I mean? Like, you just sort of like you just look up and you're just sort of like, oh, that was Bruce Brown again in there. Like, even if, and I mean, that he's got he had that last huge tip in there, with, I forget how much time was left in the fourth, maybe around a minute, maybe a little more or something. And, that was just him hustling. And I mean, like Aaron Gordon, another guy who just, a ton of validation through this, but like he didn't score a bunch that last game, but was playing so hard that, whenever that shot goes up, Murray tries to kind of take that, like, fade that he doesn't slow down enough for, and it kind of sails on him. And Gordon just is like, comes scraping through the sky, and Bam's having to deal with him, and Lowry's had to come off of Brown because he's worried about Gordon, and Strus can't get to Brown in time, and Brown knows exactly where to go, and it just go, they just, like, all their guys were, not just Jokic, but it felt like all their dudes were, if not hitting their stride, like skill wise or whatever, because, like, MPJ was struggling with his shot and everything, but like he was playing super hard, and he was actually like flying around, and like, whatever, sets his career high for rebounds, right? Goes and grabs 13 or something. It's like he still has these record scratch moments where you're like, dude, you got to know where you are on the ladder here, man. You're not, but like it didn't matter. And yeah, I mean, Jokic and Murray are, they get talked about enough, but it's just like, it's so exciting. They're still so young. You know what I mean? It's just, and I think that, they're going to have that thing that happens when you win a title, which is like, it's just going to loosen you up. You're not going to be as like, I think Murray could kind of, he does have a tendency when it's not working to press a little bit, right? Like, and, I think that all the kind of juice this will give them and stuff. It just like, I'm super excited to watch them in the aftermath of this, and like what that offense winds up looking like, just because I think Jokic should shoot more threes. Like, I think that,
he shot like 45% in the playoffs, which is like,
I think that's the next like thing. The thing that like blows the roof off that offense is if like next year you come in and Jokic is taking like 5 threes a game or something. Yeah. And he just like, say he's not hitting 45 or whatever, but even if it's just like whatever, 37, 38 or something, like he's already got that weird, that weird kind of slow-mo pump fake where like Bam's like sprinting out at him, like, not going to close out long exactly, or like leave his feet, but he's like, I got to get there because he can shoot it. And Jokic is just such a weirdo. Like, he just can wait until Bam gets right up on him, and then it's just 1 or 2 bounces by him, and then absorbing all this contact, and it's no problem. And I like that sort of stuff. If he takes, and maybe it doesn't even matter, right? Maybe he doesn't have to take more threes in order to be able to get to those spots more, but you just feel like if he's like taking them, it's going to make defenses scramble more, and him trying to like getting to dice up like a defense that's on the move is when he's at his most fun. So yeah, what a fun team.
Yeah, they're such a fun team. I feel like the way Jokic even shoots in his releases, he reminds me of like somebody playing like swimming pool basketball, where it's just like he doesn't shoot normal jumpers sometimes, and he's just like, I'm just gonna kind of fling it, kind of throw it this way, and he has such good touch. You're right on about the Bruce Brown being so likable, and like, everyone enjoys watching him. I know. I thought it was funny thinking about how you've been doing these league pass rankings for the Ringer. You did them all year, did them for the playoffs. I would like to commend you and myself. I gave you some feedback, and you were receptive to that feedback. I believe your preseason rankings or early season rankings, you had Bones Hyland on there, and I'm like, Tyler, I think that guy kind of sucks. Like, I don't like him. I don't like his vibes. And you're like, you decided on your own. You're like, you know what? I'm taking him off the list. And then he worked his way out of, he's the one guy in the world is like, man, I can't play with this Jokic guy.
Yeah.
Like, I got to cook.
it was an L for me. I still think that he is, when Bones has the ball,
Yeah.
and everyone around him is fine with that, then it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's clearly got some stuff that he's got to work out in order to like stick, because I think it's a massive red flag if you can't figure out a way to make it work with.
I mean, he's like a guy
Jokic.
who was like early on with like Microsoft or Google, and he's like, you know what? I want out.
Yeah.
Like, really? So yeah, this place isn't for me. I'd like to divest all my shares.
And you wonder, like, if he's watching the finals and like doing the math, like, oh, if I would have just like known my role,
just showed up every day,
like run some second units, like he would have been getting big. I mean, he was getting big minutes during playoffs last year. Like he was getting like it just feels like a real fumbling of the moment for him. And it, like, he's still super young. I'm not like, necessarily just out on him, right? But hopefully he can like kind of take this and sort of see like, oh, there were things here that I did not do well. Hopefully he's got some representation or something like that can like get through to him now and just be like, look, dude, like obviously this was a bad call. Like let's take a trip back to the drawing board and figure this out.
Yeah. We talked about this being a likable team. I think most people who weren't Heat fans, generally, most people like the Nuggets. All right. They also were the first team. This is from the No Dunks guys pulled this stat out. The Nuggets were the first Western Conference team not from California or Texas since your Thunder. Are we counting in 1979? Are we counting the Sonics in 1979? Or that's the Thunder, right? Is that
I think that both fan bases agreed to just be like, hey, the break happened, because I've seen like back early days of Twitter, every now and again, if like any sort of Thunder entity fan, whatever, would be like, well, we got a title in 79. Is like, that's not yours. And I agree with that. Like that, we don't have nothing to do with that. And, all the shady shit that happened when
I go to the Basketball Reference Oklahoma City Thunder page, Gary Payton is number one for franchise win shares.
No, I get it. I get that in the technically it is, but I don't think either sets of fans like want, you know what I mean? I think you just want it to be a separate thing, because if I was I've said this a bunch. If I was a Seattle fan, I would wish so much ill on the Thunder every year until Kingdom Come, until I died. I would be like, fuck them. I don't care. Like it could be for, they see, hopefully, I mean, it sounds like Seattle's going to get a team, right? Like when they get a team, that will be amazing. And I'm sure that still, until the day that a lot of those Seattle fans die, it will be screw those guys.
Right.
That's exactly how I would feel, especially considering how much, history and success the team had. I mean, it was like,
it was the first. I mean, like if people don't remember, in my loose memory, I hope this is accurate. It was this Starbucks billionaire was like, hey, Seattle, give me money for an arena. And they're like, no, build your own arena, which is the correct and proper ethical and moral stance that every city should have. Unfortunately, this plays over and over and over and over everywhere, where like cities are like, oh yeah, we'll pay for you to build. We'll give you all these concessions and tax dollars.
Subsidies.
And so, and it's messed up. And we like to pretend that like the I don't know, the NBA is some kind of like progressive league, but it's like, no, man, they still are like just blackmailing cities out of tax dollars to give our billionaire owners all these like,
it'll happen with the Thunder here sooner rather than later. Like the city, I am sure that the city will fund at some sort of either, I forget what, if they're like, it's too early, and all the book stuff has my brain too packed with selfish nonsense, so I can't access stuff I actually need for my work, like this information. But they're either gonna, there's gonna be some sort of either new arena or they'll redo the current one, right? And I'm sure that
it's all tax dollars.
The city will it's you hear some people get defensive, like, well, if that's what it takes to keep the team, that's what it takes to keep the team, so we should do that. And if
right.
And it's like, well, okay, I guess, but we can sort of say, like, you could say, if that's what it takes, then okay, but also this is bullshit.
Right.
Like, I get, like, okay, you don't want to take the stance so hard that you're like, all right, leave. You like the team that much, and the team provides a ton of incalculable, value.
I mean, people are trying to calculate it, though. That's what they always say. It's like, it's incalculable. It's like, is it? It's actually calculable. And
I think the incalculable part is the like, you go on vacation to another country and tell someone you're from Oklahoma, and they say, "Oh, Kevin Durant."
Yep. Oh,
I think that's the incalculable.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking. Like the cachet, I mean, honestly, just like not having to be like, oh, do you know the middle of the country or what?
Right.
Like, it's.
Have you heard of Oklahoma? Oh yeah, Russell Westbrook. Yeah.
Right. There's that.
Yeah. As far as like this team being likable, this is an exercise. We can close with this. This is an exercise that we've been doing on our show. We've been naming our favorite title teams of our lifetimes. And so, like, you're a Thunder fan. You've never experienced the sweet joy of a title. Who are your favorite NBA champions of all time? I'll tell you right now, at least for my adult life, it's this year's Nuggets team. Like, this year's Nuggets team is number one. I think the 04 Pistons for me are number two. And then I'll probably go with the Raptors in 19 or third. But who are your favorite NBA champions of your adult life? Or even you can do your whole child. I don't care. Your whole life.
No, I mean, those are good selections.
I mean, this is a personal journey, though. I don't want mine to influence yours.
I know. I'm trying to, that Pistons team was a lot of fun, and it felt like I mean, at the time, it really was like wow, they beat the Lakers. They beat Shaq and Kobe. Like, like, I mean, that was what they beat them when they had Peyton and Malone too, right? So, like, it felt like a win for all Laker haters out there. And I do remember thinking, like, this is awesome. I mean, at the time, I wasn't feeling like this, but in retrospect, that the 2011 Mavs team was super cool that they won. If Jason Terry had not been on that team, I think I could have embraced them a lot more.
Yeah.
And if they had not, if Dirk had not torched, the young Thunder, kind of, the Thunder sort of skipped a step and got to the Western Conference Finals that year, and Dirk just, like, big boy Serge and Nick Collison all series, like he did everybody that run. And so there was, whenever they made it to the finals, there was a little bit of that, like, we just got JJ Barea was flopping around all out.
Yeah, so there's that aspect of it.
There was that, and so it was like you were a little too close to it, but it was also like, this is awesome that they beat the Heat, right? Like, it was like, and now looking back on it now, I have a lot more fondness for that run. I really liked the Bucks team that won.
Yeah.
And I liked that Giannis got it done, and the way that he got it done, whatever, he had 50 in that closeout game, right? Like that. It's weird how quickly we move on from these sort of just amazing, career defining kinds of performances, just because, these guys keep playing and the content machine keeps, raging. And so it's, like, I think Giannis caught deserved flack for his this is not a failure thing is like, well, yeah, it is, man, but it's okay. Like, like it's okay that it's a failure. Like the whole point is that should be the point, is that it's all, failure happens and it's
would
okay,
love
and you move
some
on
kind of Goodwill Hunting, Robin Williams hug where he says like, you're not a failure, but this is a failure.
Like I agree. Not enough people are talking about the fact that you hurt your back in game 1. And maybe if you don't, y'all probably do win.
Yeah.
And that would annoy me too. And that you didn't bring that up at all is cool of you. And we should acknowledge that too. But they were an 8 seed. And it's it's, you know, if Drew and Brooke are who everybody wanted them to be, right, and who they've sort of been in the past, it's like, y'all still kind of got to get that done, man. Like, I mean, obviously the Heat have proven to be, you know, hard to kill. So it's like you don't want to. I mean, I'm way off base here with the Giannis shit, but I'm way off the road I was on, I guess. But I like that Bucks team a lot.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I mean, this Nuggets team, just in terms of like, it's not like they would get into some rock fights. And like, I mean, you know, game 5 was not a pretty game for the vast majority of it, right? Like it was neither team, it felt like, was shooting the ball that well. And, you know, sometimes outside of Jokic and Murray, if somebody else didn't have it going, right, if like MPJ didn't, or Bruce Brown didn't, or KCP wasn't hitting or something like that, then it could start to feel like, okay, like, you know, the coffers aren't just stocked with firepower here, right? But like ultimately, I think especially in the playoffs, because like Jokic and Murray are playing crazy minutes, you're just sort of like, there's going to be something fun that happens when the two of these guys are out here. And Jokic to me, my favorite thing about him is just how out of nowhere everything he does is. He's going so slow, you would feel like that you should be seeing some of this stuff coming. And even with his like slow drip kind of cadence, right, it's still just like constantly something new and different and unorthodox, but somehow also kind of smooth in a weird way. Like,
oh, it's very smooth.
And it's like, I think getting to see him in the context of like, okay, Anthony Davis has just elevated himself to be playing the best defense that anybody has sort of played in a while. It felt like in some of the, like, it felt like he had taken a leap to a level that even he hadn't gotten to before. And everybody had kind of agreed, like, well, yeah, if he's locked in and healthy like this, then this is another, you know, thing entirely. And Jokic went toe to toe with him, and just it wasn't even a, like, he had no problem. Like it was Michael Jordan. Like, I had no problems with the glove. Like it was very much
right.
Like it felt like.
Except, can we say when the Oklahoma City great Gary Payton guarded Jordan?
No, Jordan
in that
Jordan
series. Jordan
did
struggled, but they didn't put Gary Payton on him until like the final few games of the series or whatever.
I think Jordan did have more problems with the glove than he stated. Yeah, but I was more saying, like, in my head when I was thinking about Jokic talking about going against Anthony Davis, I imagine he's sort of like, well, yeah, I had no big deal. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, one of the most indelible, like, long lasting kind of images from these playoffs for me. And I think it'll be a thing that sticks with me for a while, just because it's not something you ever see, like, when the screws get tight and it's games that actually matter. But when Jokic hit that first end of quarter, you know, Sombor shuffle, one-footed step back over Davis.
Yes.
At 3. And just a slingshot, right? Like whenever he did that and Davis turned around to look at him and just sort of started like shaking his head, kind of laughing.
Yeah.
Like Davis doing that and Jokic like just not even giving the Jordan shrug, not even really like lifting his arms up, but just sort of like,
Yeah, he doesn't have to shrug. He's like, what?
Yes,
yeah, I did that.
That combination of like Shot and Davis just like, I can't do anything here but laugh.
Yeah.
It just felt like Jokic finally everything falling into place with the rest of the roster around him. And it was just so cool to see, like, because the thing that always bothered me was I would get people like Embiid fans wanting Embiid to win a MVP and thinking he, deserved it and all that sort of stuff. Like, I would sort of, obviously like players are going to have detractors, right? Like, especially somebody like Jokic, like he's the type of player that someone's going to watch and be like, no, actually this guy sucks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just every player is going to have somebody like that, but especially somebody like Jokic, who is just such a new thing. Right. And him, oh shit, Keith, holy shit. My ADHD just cranked at the exact wrong time. That was unbelievable.
Don't worry about it.
Dude, I just like jumped off the cliff and like realized that I left the rocket pack on the cliff.
You were saying something about Jokic, just the way he's hitting these shots. I don't know. God. He's obliterating everyone. I'll tell you two of my favorite little moments that no one's going to care about in NBA history is Jokic hitting the rim on full court shots twice. At the buzzer. Just like one.
Yeah.
Where like dude was, I can't remember, somebody was all over him and he shot it a weird way. It wasn't a normal heave. He kind of threw it sideways and the ball kept moving. I was like, wait, I thought that was going to be 20 feet short and it kept going and it hit the rim. And then in game 5, he had one that was just like from 60 feet that like, I think most people thought was going in because he got a good, clean look at it. And you're like, man, I'm a little surprised that didn't go in.
If you're a Broncos fan, I mean, would you rather? I think if you're given the choice between him and Russell Wilson, you take Jokic today.
Oh, of course.
I think if you put Jokic under center, I think if you give Sean Payton, a couple months, I think he's throwing for, like at least 250, right? Like, the precision on everything that he does is just nonsense. I remember what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Jokic detractors would try to be like, well, he hasn't ever done it in the playoffs though. It's like, what playoffs have you been watching whenever this guy's playing? Like, it's not when the Nuggets have lost in the playoffs, it's not because this dude hasn't gone off.
Right.
Like, he's the guy who's dragging these teams much further than they have any business going, like either getting them to whatever, a 6th seed in the first place or something, or, like once they get in there, like doing a lot of damage. He always was killer in the playoffs. And that was always the thing that would sort of frustrate me, is just sort of be like, well, y'all don't even know what you're just looking at. Well, he can't get out of the second round or whatever. He's like, he only got to the Western.
But like, he made it to the conference finals in the bubble. Yeah. Then he beat Portland without Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was just one of those weird things, because it became such a big talking point. Like, well, he hasn't had success in the playoffs, and so he hasn't done it in the playoffs, and so he's going to get a third MVP. It's like, well, that can't be the reason.
Yeah.
You can't say, you could say like, no one's ever gotten 3 MVPs in a row. Michael Jordan didn't get those. He's not getting a third. Like, I would be way more into that harebrained logic than just inventing that this guy has not been a monster in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He just was. But
yeah.
And
now he's
fun that everything came together and everybody got to see, like, because if I was a Nuggets fan now, I would be like, yeah, y'all are lucky that Jamal Murray's been hurt the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'd be making, I was saying this on the pod with Sierra the other day, Ringer pod, the answer. Like, I would be talking mad shit if I was a Nuggets fan. I would be doing it in ways that would, I think, make people extra mad, because I would be claiming things that were absolutely unable to be proven.
Of course. Yeah.
We would have won in the bubble. We would have won in I would have gone through every single thing. Because that's, to the victor goes the,
I mean, they could have won in the bubble if like Mason Plumlee doesn't leave Anthony Davis wide open for the game-winning three-pointer. I mean, that was a pretty close series.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've gone pretty long, Tyler. I'll let you off the hook.
Great to talk to you, and thank you for letting me come on here around the book time and stuff.
Dude, nice of course. Yeah, we'll get you back on the show again. We'll give you a little break, a few months, have you back around, circle back, talk with you. And of course,
I'll recharge my batteries. Yeah.
Everybody out there, go check out Tyler's book and read him over at The Ringer. Anyways, Tyler, always a pleasure. Look forward to the next time.
Always good, man.